Hello, everyone. Megan here from Romance by the Book with the lovely Marielle.
Yeah.
It is July, and we are reading All Superheroes Need PR by Elizabeth Stevens. Very exciting.
This was super fun. It was my first book from her. Um, and it looks like her other ones are not as light or as comedic, I guess I should
Hmm.
say.
Yeah,
Um, but this was really fun.
really
I
fun.
had a good time with it.
I did too. So we open with our heroine, Vanessa. She is nervously getting ready for a very important pitch proposal meeting. She runs a small marketing firm, and they're going for like their biggest contract ever, which would be as kind of a brand manager for the newest villain turned champion, uh, currently known as the Pyro.
And we do find out like early-ish on, but not in one go,
Yeah.
that the way their world is, it's very much like our contemporary world, except that 20 some years ago these pods landed that were aliens and they were children and
Mhm.
they were taken by the government to check them out, I guess.
Yeah.
And then eventually they decided to do like a branding situation of villains and heroes. And ever since then, they've kind of existed in the world under those umbrellas.
Yes.
And and also her firm is small, but also it's her employees slash friends
Hmm.
are all it's very like diverse, and because of that there have been instances where they've like won bids or done and still not received the job
Right.
just because people tend to sometimes prefer like, oh well, you don't like fit our aesthetic or whatever.
Right. Well, and I
So
think she mentioned that like there was a news article or something about like since the size of her firm and the budget or whatever, like clearly they're not serious about taking Pyro on as a champion, like if they're gonna be hiring them kind of thing.
right.
So they've definitely got a bit of a burr under the saddle about that, trying to like get
That
in.
they're kind of behind the eight ball, but
Yeah.
it would mean like a lot of money and like a really big boost for her business. So she's
And it's like a 10-year, it would be like a 10-year
gotcha.
contract, so it would be huge for years. They Vanessa is very shy. She has anxiety, social anxiety especially. She loves marketing, but she likes being behind the scenes and kind of letting her friend and employee Marjorie like take the spotlight in presentations and stuff like that. Um,
Not a fan of public speaking for sure.
Not at all. Yeah. And so like you said, there was 48 super beings that showed up, and they had no memories of where they came from. But they all have these like special gifts. And as they grew up, some of them started to become violent, and that's when the whole like heroes and villains thing started to take place.
I did
Um,
want to mention this is kind of off topic, but kind of not. July 2025 is when we are recording this.
yes.
This past week, there was like a meteor that landed near us. And I was still reading this book, and I was like,
You're like, what is that?
should we go check? Anyway, sorry.
That's funny. So Vanessa's whole team is a bit on edge, to say the least, but they're trying to like be ready. So Mr. Sinkham comes in. He's the head of the like champions organization that they're going to be working for. And then the Pyro walks in, stares directly at Vanessa and says, "What are you?" That's what he says to her. And she's like, "What?"
What?
And so
I
she,
have had someone ask me that before, and it is a very weird question. But
especially for
also
him, because he's the one who's like not human.
he's
He's
an
like
alien.
from some other planet, and he's asking what she is, and she's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah. Also, she like before he shows up, there's like a couple of rounds of people being very like, "Oh, he's coming." It's very
Right.
exciting.
Yeah.
Like it's very she's not ready, lives in like that like like her
Yes.
anxiety level's a little up anyway.
Hmm.
And then the excitement around her, I don't think is making it better. So she's
Yes.
trying to keep her cool,
That
but
breaks it immediately. And so she almost falls down, like
yeah.
from the shock. And
Well,
he,
she does some movement and then she's
yeah,
like toppling and
and he
oh,
rushes to catch her, which causes kind of a chain reaction disaster of like everybody falling over, coffee spilling, the
like a
works, right?
dominoes. Yeah.
Yes. And so Vanessa kind of stares into his eyes, which are white with like pink around the edge. And he kind of sits her up on the table, and she realizes that the look on his face is hate. Like this man hates her. And she's like, what has
What
happened?
did I do? Yeah,
And then he says, I want her gone. And then that's the end of the
that's it.
chapter. And
She's
so
done.
we're like, oh God. So we pick back up and they've headed
She
to the
did in the
bar.
very beginning. She was like, I don't do well with handsome men. We don't even really get to know if he's handsome or not
No.
exactly because it's so much
Intense for
chaos.
sure, but we don't know about him.
But she definitely did not do well with him because
No. And who would in that scenario, honestly? And so they head to the bar, her and her team, after to drown their sorrows because clearly they're not getting this contract. They have been fired. Vanessa is anxious, of course. She doesn't go to bars for a good reason because she doesn't like talking to strangers. Like none of this is exciting for her, but needs must, and she needs a drink. So everyone is still kind of shocked at what happened. They're all kind of trying to downplay it to make her feel better, but she's like, no, this was
like
bad.
we don't know for sure. And it's like, yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Also, like everyone is like kind of must because since it
right.
turned into like a
A
someone's
domino
got
effect.
coffee on them, like no one is
No one's
in
in their
their
top
pristine.
form. Yeah,
No,
for sure. And so meanwhile, she's gotten pretty drunk. She's all of a sudden she's like, wow, how many of these have I had? Like I'm drunk, right? And so to kind of avoid being drunk in front of her team, because like she is the boss, she goes to
yeah.
the bathroom and then she decides to go to the bar for some water, where she's of course roped into talking to this stranger, this man that she doesn't want to talk to. And she spills red wine on herself as she's like talking to him. And the guy
And she
grabs,
is kind of trying to like she isn't she knows she's drunk. She's not
yes,
exactly sure like where on the spectrum of
right,
drunkenness she is exactly. She knows she doesn't want to be like CEO in front of her whole
right.
staff, like senior staff, when she is not
Not with
feel
it
like
fully.
at herself. And
Yeah,
then, and because she's also kind of emotional and stuff, but she also does not know how to tell this man that she doesn't
to
want to
leave
talk to
her
him.
alone. Yes.
And so
Um,
he's like, I'm from this company, and he's trying to, and she's trying to like not talk, but not be rude, but
just right,
not.
just nod along basically, and like, yeah. And so she spills the red wine on herself. So he grabs a bunch of napkins, and instead of just handing them to her, he goes to like pat Vanessa's
That
self,
pat
which
it
is
off.
like
Yeah.
on her chest. And she's like, you're in her head. So you're like, she sees it coming and she doesn't have the words to like be like, what are you doing? You know? And next thing you know,
He's
um, the pyro is there and the guy is passed out on the floor. And she's like,
what
didn't
just
see it. It would
happened?
like happen too fast for her to even see like what happened.
Like she blinked and he was in her face, and like
Yes.
the pyro was in her face, and she's
Yes.
just like, "What?"
She's like, wait, what happened? So he's pissed. He still seems pissed, but he's also acting kind of protective and kind of possessive. And she's even more confused by this. And then he starts kind of growling or like purring or something. And she's like, what is this noise? Like, and it's making her even more anxious. She's like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. And so he's still talking to her and he's like, did that guy hurt you? And she's like, no. And then
He is
he's
like,
like,
"Why was he touching your chest?"
yeah,
And she's like, "I don't know what
yeah.
is
Well, he's
happening."
like, did you want him to touch you? And she's like, no. And then he's like, are you okay? Because she clearly looks green in the gills.
He also refers to him as like that
The
dead man,
dead
and
guy. She's like, oh my God, did you kill him?
so
Why
none
is that
of
dead
that
guy touching you?
makes me feel less nervous at
No,
the
not
bar.
at all. It makes it so much worse. It's so funny. And so, when, because she's clearly upset and he's like, are you okay? And she's like, no. And he's like, are you hurt? And she's like, no, I have anxiety, she says to him. And so then he kind of like takes a step back from his like intensity that's happening. And he apologizes and he says, I need you to get out of here. And she's like,
Again, like
yeah. And so she's looking around and she sees people are filming, which is, of course, like her worst nightmare, right? And she says, I don't feel well. And he's like, I want to take you to the doctor. And she's like, no. And so he kind of steps closer to her, like he's going to pick her up. And she kind of ducks and like puts her hand up, like in a defensive move,
and
which
he
clearly is a
is
thing that you don't do unless that's like instinctual for you, which he clocks immediately.
Yeah.
And he basically says something to her like, I might be a lot of things, but like I'm never going to hit you. Like that's not a thing that's happening, right? And and then he tells her to call him Roland, which is his first name, not the Pyro, obviously. And then she throws up on him. And it's like real bad because she's been drinking red wine. So it's
She
crazy.
says it
It's like
looks
a crime
like
scene.
she's bleeding, like it's blood coming out.
It
And
looks like a
he's
crime
wearing
scene.
like a gray sweatsuit, like a light
Like
gray
light gray.
sweatsuit. So it's
Mhm.
all over. Anyway, since we're in her head, we had seen her battling this. And I have to tell
Yes.
you that Elizabeth Stevens did a good job of making me very anxious
Oh gosh,
because
yeah.
this whole chapter, I was like, please don't puke.
Oh my God, yeah.
Please.
And you're feeling like she's like I can feel it like wrenching, 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 like just moving
And
up
she
the
keeps
esophagus.
pushing it down. And I'm like, oh
And oh
no, get
man.
out of there.
And so right after she sees that it looks like a crime scene, then she passes out. So she briefly wakes up to hear people like shouting at each other, and then she passes out again. And then we see her again, and she's at her parents' house, and
Yeah.
her four brothers are pissed. They are grilling her about what happened. This is the next morning. Clearly, she's very hungover. She feels like absolute dog shit. Apparently, Pyro
Um,
flew her there. She doesn't remember any of it, and he didn't know he was flying her there. He thought he was flying her home. But Marjorie, her friend slash employee, like wouldn't tell him like her home address. She gave him that address,
yeah.
which was good. I mean, it's smart, good for her not to be like alone with him, but because
Yeah.
I don't know him, and so far nothing he's shown has been good. So like,
So we don't know right away. Like immediately, like she wakes up, her brothers are like, "What the heck?
yeah, what did
What
you
is
do?
your?" But also her mom is making her like these. Uh, they sound terrible. But
Please.
she was like, "It's her hangover tamales," which I was like, "That is that a thing?"
Is that a thing? Yeah, I don't know.
But definitely not the way she made them because they are like
They're like super
I don't know,
healthy or
key
something. They
lime
have some
or
weird stuff in
something.
them.
Like I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. Kale that wasn't cooked. Like it's a whole thing that's making everything worse. But in the middle of her family grilling her, she finds out that Roland dropped her off there. Marjorie would not give him her um address. So the compromise was, well, you can take her to her
Right.
parents. He gets there. Her brother is like watching TV or something and hears a commotion at the door because the pyro has melted their doorknob so he can
Let her
scoot
in.
her in the house. And so, of course, they're like, defend the home front.
Right.
He is like, I will beat you all up. Don't touch her. It's like a
Right.
whole thing.
One, of course, he doesn't know who these people are. Like, he's been told that that's her brother, but like, he doesn't know this person, and he's like feeling protective, obviously. We get that much from the reading of it. But yeah, so he finally sets her down, and then yeah, the brothers and him have a fight. It's like a whole,
He
it was
does
like a whole
have like
thing.
four brothers, and so
Yeah.
and the dad, and he tangled with all of them before
Oh,
he
yes.
deigned to leave her in their
Right.
care.
And in this moment when we're in her head, she's thinking about her family and the fact that she was adopted when she was 10. Her family is as wonderful as her birth parents were wretched and
Terrible.
abusive. And so yeah, they're telling her this story of how she got home and she's like horrified. And but I think the main thing that gets to her is that one of her brothers, the first one that saw her, I guess, says she looked dead, like in his arms, like she was just like, passed out over his arms, and that's when they freaked out because they didn't know like what was going on. And so then she's apologizing. She feels terrible for this whole
Mhm.
situation. And then the doorbell rings, and it is Mr. Sinkum, the president of the COE, which is like the champions organization or whatever. And so
She
Vanessa
was so
goes,
close because her dad was making like waffles and eggs, and she
and
was
she really wanted
almost.
it. She's like, get rid of this tamale. Oh my God. And so Vanessa goes to the door in her like ancient Minnie Mouse PJs, which are like a disaster. And I mean, he's there. Like she doesn't have time to do anything. And so he apologizes for coming over on a Saturday and says that the Pyro is reconsidering working with COE and would she consider still working with them. Pyro, she's like, why would he want to work with me? Like he basically hated my guts and yelled at me and kicked me out of the office, and then he did the same thing
And
to
then
me
tried to kick
at the
me out of the
bar.
bar. Yeah.
And he's like, oh, he didn't find you, like, he didn't run into you at the bar. He followed you to the bar to apparently make this plea directly himself. But since, circumstances prevented that, he like showed up in my house in the middle of the night, basically. And she was
Yeah.
like, oh God, like more people I feel like I have to apologize to.
So the pitch that they had done originally had like a bunch of different clauses and like PR ideas and things,
Mhm.
and among them was a Lois Lane clause.
Yes.
And
So for like a fake PR girlfriend to like help him seem more like
is
nice
how they saw
people.
it.
Yeah.
But
So
basically, Pyro is like, I want, and he's like, I will work with them, but really he's like, I will work with her.
her.
And she is like, I don't work by myself. Like, this
Right.
is the whole
None of
team.
this is a one person job.
Also,
Yeah.
he is a big job.
Yeah.
I will not be doing by myself. And
So Mr. Sinkum is like going along with all this. He's like, oh, yes, we have this new contract. Now, this contract is for you specifically, like you, not your team. Like that is going to come on Monday, but like this is for you. And it has all the provisions that he wanted, like in the middle of the night when he came to my house. And she's looking it over and she's like, it feels like it's too good to be true, but she can't really find fault with it because she's like, all these provisions were ours. Like we made this contract. Like what could be so bad about
she
this,
is a
basically?
little like she's still hungover. So she has that feeling like in the back of her head that she's missing something.
Yes.
But she's like, I mean, it is these are all the things that we
Have already
said
like
we were gonna
said.
do.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So
anyway.
she signs it, but she is afraid she's missing something important. But she's
And she
convincing
did
her
ask
team and
for
her
them
family
to
and everybody else
amend
that it's
like
fine.
one thing on there.
Yeah.
So she did try to fix whatever the niggling
Right.
was,
But she
but
still feels like there's something there, but she did sign it. And so her team is furious with her the next day that she signed something like half-assed before the lawyer could like look at it. And she said, I know I feel like something's missing, but like I couldn't find anything and it was too good to pass up, basically. And so um on Monday, the whole team goes to the office to rework the whole like team contract. And in the meeting, he is like staring at her the whole time, just like fully locked in. And even when he talks to other people or whatever, he
he's
is
still
just like
looking at her
staring at her. Yes. And so they've picked a new name for
with his
him.
eyes that like sometimes look like flames flickering in there, and they turn orange, and sometimes they're pink, and she's just
White.
like
Yeah.
that
We
flame sometimes is pink, but
yeah.
anyway, she's like, okay, weird, but also
Right. Like I feel like a bug under a microscope, right? So they've picked a new name for him, which is the Wyvern.
he's
Um
like, did you pick that name?
right,
And she's like, I mean, we brainstormed and workshopped, and I guess that one, it particularly was my idea, but
right.
we all were worked as a team. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, you picked it? Great, I like it. And so, a wyvern is like a mythical dragon creature, basically. And the Roland is literally made of fire. Like his whole entire body, like comes out of his pores. He can make fire. So it seemed appropriate. Um, and so they break for lunch, and he comes over to her.
It also doesn't sound as like villainous too. Like that was the other thing that they were like, I mean, we're not gonna call you like a demon. We're not gonna call
Right, the
you
devil, or
um,
like, and the dragon. Later in the book, I think he says something like Dragon Man, and she's like, "It's a good thing you're not, a PR person or whatever," which is funny. Um, but so he comes over to her, and she's like very nervous, of course, but she has gotten him new sweats to replace what she ruined, and so she gives that to him, and she's kind
but
of
like in
babbling.
every size because
Yeah,
she
like
wanted
large,
to
extra
know.
large, yeah. And two different colors, but not light gray, because she's like, if I ever see light gray sweats again, I'll die of embarrassment. Like, I cannot deal with this, right? And so she's babbling a bit because she's nervous. And eventually she gets to how she didn't like how he fought with her family. Like, she does not like that. He cannot do that. And he kind of says, he's like, they fought me first. And she's like, I know. And he's like, okay, I won't do it again. Like, he tells her straight up, I won't do it again.
Mhm.
And so she's all flustered. And he says, you'll need to get used to talking to me. And she's like, I need you to be less intense. And he's like, I'll try. And she's like, I'll try too. And then he's like, you never have to talk to anybody else again if you don't want, but I expect my wife to talk to me. And she's like,
She's like,
what now?
who?
You have a wife? And he's like, yeah, you. Didn't you read the
What's
contract?
late?
And of course,
Hello?
then it's like record scratch. This is like the thing that she apparently missed, right? So she faints. And after and in right in her head, like as she's fainting, she's realizing like this is the thing that I missed, right? So this goes back to the Lois Lane clause, of course. He apparently read a little more into it than what they ever like intended for it to be. And the main point of Lois Lane in theory was to like speak for him since he's not great with people. You know what I mean? And like she clearly can't do that job. Like that job is not for her. So, everybody's in a in a tiff like when she wakes up from
Comes
her
to
fainting.
improv.
And Mr. Sinkum is trying to kind of demur, like, oh, we thought you wanted, and he's like, bullshit. I told you exactly what I wanted last night when I came here at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, don't, you're a liar. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lie. I
Mhm.
told you what I wanted, and you like downplayed it to her, you know?
And she's like,
Um,
fake girlfriend, right? And he's like,
mm-mm. And so then, as her team, I guess it's the lawyer maybe, or one of her team says something about how the whole point was like it to be, to help him in the public eye, like not a real thing. And she looks at him and realizes he's embarrassed. Like he's blushing through his dark skin. And she's like horrified by this because she knows what that feels like, that embarrassment of like being in front of people and
the
feeling
idea
bad.
that she is the reason why he's embarrassed, that like she's done something that's made him feel that way
Yeah.
is like
And
not
she says to herself,
good
like,
for her.
Superman doesn't get embarrassed. Like, this should not be happening, right? And so she just like yells out that she'll take the contract because she hates that she's made him feel like this, right? But before they can work out any of the particulars, an alarm goes off and some security people rush in, and the villains are like attacking the office.
Yeah.
So Roland flies off to deal with that. And when he gets back,
Has to do with him like having been kind of straddling the fence as to like whether he was gonna stay a villain or join the
right,
heroes. Um, but he like you get the sense that he cares not at all. Like they're upset. Oh well. Like, oh, did this cause damage to the building? Whoops. Like he does
no,
not
like as
care.
long as she's okay, he gives zero fucks. And so as soon as he gets back, he's like checking her over for injuries, and she says, "I'll do the contract for 2 years," and he says
He
like
says
15 or something, and she's like 3. So anyway, they negotiate it to 4 years. Um, and he's like, "And I'm moving into your place tomorrow," and she's like, "Oh God." And so,
she's also like, I need to tell, but stuff happens.
right, she's like, "I need to tell him something," and like, yeah, something happens, and we don't know what she needs to tell him either. So now is the point, a few chapters in here, where we're actually getting Roland's POV, which is awesome. I was so happy to have this. He is obsessed with her, like fully obsessed with her. They're about to do a press conference. She's about to start her whole like Lois Lane thing, and she's anxious AF. And which makes him wants to kill things. Like he does not like it at all.
No. His
And
instinct is to like murder everyone, which is
yes,
really, and the thing is that it's like from the moment he first saw her, he was like, I have never felt like this. What is this?
what
What
is
is
this?
going on?
Yeah.
Um,
And that's why he was so mad because he didn't understand. This has never happened to him before. He didn't understand what he was feeling and it pissed him off. And he wanted her gone because he thought if she was gone, he wouldn't be feeling it anymore, which clearly was not the case.
did not work.
So he wants to kidnap her. He just wants to take her and like not deal with any of this shit. That's what he really wants to do. But he's like, no, that's like what villains think about doing. Like I'm supposed to be a good guy now. Like what am I doing, right? So she goes out there.
Can I tell you that there was some button pressed at that moment because I was like, when he was like, I will kidnap her, I'll take her away. We won't deal
It'll
with
be
any of this
perfect.
ever. I
Yep.
was like, yep, do that.
You're like, that sounds great.
Amazing.
Perfect. Love it. Love that for you.
My heart is yours. Let's go.
And so she gets flustered, of course, out there. She drops her note cards. It's like a whole catastrophe.
She had them in order and then she starts and it's the wrong card and she gets nervous
It's
more than
really
she was.
so embarrassing. And so he goes out there and he answers. a bunch of questions instead. It's a big hero move, like truly.
He's
Um,
also like, don't bother her.
right.
We're
Like he's like, you don't talk to her, you talk to me. Like if you have questions, ask me. Like I'll tell you, whatever. And but he still wants to kidnap her afterward. And so she says, thank you, Roland. And then he just like flies off because otherwise he's gonna like kidnap her.
and
And
kill everyone who made her feel flustered.
yes,
He is like, I want to melt the pens in their hands. Like I want like
like
his
cameras to
immediate
their fit and
response is
microphones to
just
their yeah. He talks about melting stuff a lot, which is honestly like I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Like that sounds like a great way to like get rid of anger. I love that for you. Um, so Vanessa
like I will melt their bones
yes.
and then
Oh
I'll
my
run away
gosh,
with her. And
it's so
I'm just
funny.
like, okay.
So Vanessa hasn't slept well in like a week. She keeps thinking about the press conference. He called her Nessa during this conference. He said she was smarter than everyone there. Also, he threatened everybody who asked questions he didn't like. Like it was very big hero moves. And she like can't get over
Like
it.
in the most villainous possible way. Like he's
That's a perfect description. Yes, exactly. And so she's taken to jogging to work because if she walks, these reporters like hound her between her house and the offices, right?
oh well, and before we get like she she's so funny because like her team was like, well, you're all over the internet, so I guess that's good, but also do not look at the comments in these social media posts. Like, don't look at them. And so she's like,
Which,
like
and of
every
course, she's
good
like, that's what I
client.
tell all my clients. And
And she's
yet,
like every client, I went ahead and looked.
yes,
And so of course, like people are being terrible and like she's too
some people are
skinny
being nice, some people are being
big
terrible,
for
as
him or
usual.
she's too whatever. And so she is like, I mean, I guess I could stand to like be a little more fit or whatever. So when we see her like
And also
run,
be a little more girlfriend like they haven't really done it. Like it's been a week and she hasn't really had any contact with him. And she's like, this isn't how we do this, right?
but so she's running to work, but then it's like, well, really she's running because these reports she
These reporters
if
are
her
hounding
pace
her.
isn't fast enough, the reporters will
Yes, will like
swarm her basically.
swarm. Yes. So she has barely seen him in 3 weeks at this point. And one reporter asks if it's true she can't please the Pyro sexually, and that's why he cheated on her with the Olympian, which is like another one of the heroes. And she's like, what are these questions, right? And then as she's running, this other reporter like jumps out from behind the half pipe. It's like a skate park. And
She like thought she lost them
yeah.
and then out jumps this. I was like, what the heck? I too would have fallen on my face
Right. And
because
I'm not even like as clumsy as her. And so of course she fell on her face. Um, and some kids at the skate park come over to help her and like chase off the reporters.
and she is injured. Like
Yes.
she broke her phone, hit her wrist, like tapped. My mom fell like this one time.
Yeah.
Fell to like hit her chin. So
Right. Like
she also
chin
like
is bleeding.
bit her tongue
Yes.
because in the fall,
Yep. Swollen tongue. And
she's
she
like
sprained her
not
ankle.
able to get up. And her head, so it's like her head's kind of swimming, but
Yeah.
also her body hurts, and she's just not sure exactly what happened. But in the midst of it, kids are like, "Are those people like what are they?" And they pull out their phones and also
Yes.
like
They
make
run them
those
off and they
reports
help
leave.
her. She uses one of their phones to call COE for a transport, basically, because she's sprained her ankle, so now she can't get up and walk. Um, and of course, who comes but Roland? He flies in and he is pissed. And because she bit her tongue, everything is sounding not quite right when she's saying it. Um, and he turns to the kid who's standing the closest to her and says, write your name down and all the names of the kids who helped my girl today. And like, I'll come back tomorrow and I'll take pictures with you and we'll skate and like, it'll be great. And the kids are like, hell yeah. Right. So the one kid runs off to like do
Because
that.
they wanted to like get a picture, and he was
Yeah.
like, "Yes, but also
Not
no."
right
Like
now. Yeah. And
he's trying to
so,
figure out what else is wrong with her.
yes, he's
And
like, yeah,
she is like, I'm fine. Vanessa can be embarrassed almost any time, really. So she is just like, oh, this is terrible. No, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Also,
No,
we
I don't
should
need
go
a
for
doctor.
coffee, I think, because
Right. Because
we
that's
have
what
a
she was
date.
thinking about when she was running before this all happened. Yeah.
And then her tongue is swelling as she's talking, and he's like, What?
He's like, "Are you trying to set up a PR date right now?" And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "No." And so she starts calling him Rolo at this point because she can't speak his name properly because of her tongue being swollen. And so he checks
And
her
she's like,
over.
we need to wait because I called and they're sending their people. And he's like, no,
No, we don't. He's
I'm
like, "I'm flying you out of here." And she's like, "To where?" And he's like, "To get coffee." He jokes to her because of course she just said that. And she realized, like we said, that while she was running, that like they haven't been faking it good enough. Like they've barely been in each other's presence for like a month, and all these rumors are happening and stuff. And so that was why the first thought in her head when she saw him was this coffee date, even though she's like not fit to do that right now, obviously. So yeah, that's the end of chapter 9. But things are getting fun for sure. And I love their like back and forth um repartee. So yeah, looking forward to next
they're
week.
sweet.
So we'll see you then.
See them.